Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole and I'm here with the September edition of the Savvy Scrapbookers collaboration. And this month we are using the Autumn Harvest paper pack, and I have a very simple layout for you this time. I played around with some things that were a little bit more fancy, but in the end I just kind of came up with this and I liked it. Excuse the reflection of the light here. Putting the ring around my face right here, but I want to be able to have good lighting to show you how to do the layout, and in order to do that, it's going to give you a little reflection on these photos right now. So we're going to create this layout using just 4 pieces of paper and some stickers, and then you can add, I added 7 photos. You could add probably a couple more if I'd had, I meant to have some square photos, but I ended up using a vertical. So, and then a few stickers. So the papers that I'm going to use for my layout come from the Autumn Harvest, and one of them is the autumn leaves with the little blueberries. The back is the wood. One of them is the speckles, and the back is these leaves. And I thought I was actually going to use this leaf side, and then I ended up not using it. One side is the pumpkins. The back is the yellow. We don't actually use that side either. And then this side is the one with all the words. And of course, you can, you know, use whichever side you want, but this way I'm going to use it. And then if you follow my layout and then hop over to Donna Guest, the Lazy Scrapbooker, Debbie Martin at Debbie's Scrapbooking Buddies, we're going to use 1 paper pack, 1 sticker pack, and you're going to be able to create 3 double page layouts. So here we go. We're going to start with our 12-inch trimmer, and then we're also going to be using our 12-inch decorative trimmer. So the first paper we want to cut is this one with the words, but we're also going to use a little bit of the red to just be an accent on our page at the top and bottom. So what I need to do is cut 4 half-inch strips, but you want to make sure that when you cut this, you're cutting in the same direction as the words, because we want the words to be horizontal when we go to do our put our layout together. So I'm going to cut on the word side. I'm going to cut it 1/2 inch. I'm going to cut 4 of these, and of course on the Creative Memories trimmer, 1/2 inch is right about the edge of the where the grid starts up again after the cutting mat. All right, 2, 3, 4. All right, those are our 4 pieces. Now in theory, we've just cut 4 half-inch pieces, so this piece remaining should be 10 inches. But what I've found is that for whatever reason, my cuts aren't exactly accurate. So here when I turn it this way and you see that it's just a little shy of that 10-inch mark. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm touching too close to the edge or something, or maybe this measurement's wrong. I don't know, but I'm going to want to cut this in half at 5 inches. But because I have that little extra, I'm going to just go a hair shorter than 5, not even to that 1/16 of an inch mark. That's too much, I think. I'm just going to kind of in between that 1/16 inch mark and the 5 inch. I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to just put them next to each other and see how we did. All right, so that's almost exactly the same thickness, just by cutting it a little bit short. So that's paper number 1. Next, we're going to take paper number 2, which is going to be the pumpkins. And this one's even easier because we just need 2 5-inch pieces. And again, we're cutting across the pumpkins so that the design will be horizontal. And we're going to have this 2-inch strip that's left over, and we actually don't use this for anything. Maybe you can think of something. I mean, we could maybe find a way to use it, but I didn't use it. All right, so we got these 2 5-inch pieces here. And finally, we're going to take piece 4, which is going to be our photo mats and our welding piece that you're not going to see, which is a shame because I really do like this little speckly paper. But you could use a piece of scratch paper or extra paper for this if you wanted to have more mats. But I need to cut 2 by 12-inch pieces that are going to be for our welding. I know, I did say welding. I hope that you guys are okay with the welding. Then I'm going to cut 1 4-inch piece. And this one I'm going to go ahead and turn and cut into 3 4x4 mats. And you know it's because I just don't want to fold out my arm of my trimmer. And then this last 4-inch piece, I am going to fold out the arm of my trimmer and cut into 2 4x6 mats. Okay, so 4x6 mats. And then the last piece we're going to cut is our leaves. And with this one, we're going to use our 12-inch decorative trimmer. Now, the 12-inch decorative trimmer, hopefully you know, has 2 tracks. This one is called the wavy, and this one is called the swell. And we're going to use the swell edge. And sometimes when I cut with this space here is 12.5 inches, and sometimes you need to center it in between. This one, it doesn't matter. So that makes it a little bit easier, but measuring's a little bit tricky on this just because of where the measurements are and that you have 2 blades and the numbers don't quite line up. So just kind of bear with me here. What we're going to do for the first one on the swell edge is we're going to line up our paper so that it just comes to this little first grid line that's about 1/4 inch from the widest part of the swell. And to keep it straight, I am going to go ahead and line it up with the top right here. All right, I'm going to cover up that whole swell edge. All right, so I'm going to cover that line, and then I'm going to cut, and I'm going to cut in the direction of this edge that I'm propping it up against. Sometimes that doesn't matter because if you're centering it, you don't get to position it, but this time we get to do that. Now I need to measure a piece that's, I think, about 5 inches, but there's no real way to measure it. So what we're going to do is some kind of reverse measuring. I don't have any idea what these measurements are, but we're going to use the ruler here, and we're going to put this on the 7-inch line, but I don't know actually where the 0 is on this. So I'm going to put this on the 7-inch line, and I'm going to cut this same piece. I'm pressing up against the same edge so that my piece will line up exactly. So I think that's about 5 inches. All right, 4 3/4 at this point. But what we want then is another piece that's exactly the same width. So if I put this edge of my paper, fold the little arm in, and I put this in between here down by the wave edge at like this 2, and I don't even know what the measurement is. I think this must be the 2-inch line. It's just really tricky to see. So it's basically the first full line after the swell, which is right there. All right, so it's the first grid line after the swell on this side of the swell. But what we really want to do, I'm not going to put the blade down yet, is take our piece right here and put it on top and just make sure that it kind of is the same width. And so now I see that this is about the same width, and so then I can cut. So I'll show you again kind of what line I mean. It's super hard to see on this trimmer. I love the things that it does, but boy, it's a little challenging sometimes to cut with it. Okay, so here's I wonder if this comes off. Oh, look at that, it came off, yay. All right, so here's the wave section right here, the wave, and the line we're going to use is not the wave, but it's that one that's a little 1 grid mark over from the wave, so about 1/4 inch from the wave. That was what I put this on to make my cut so that it's the same size. All right, now hopefully I can get this back on. There we go. That wasn't so bad. I want to do a quick tip about the 12-inch trimmer. I've had several people ask me this recently, so I'm going to work that in. Right here on this side, you see that the edge of the blade of the trimmer pattern kind of goes off the edge. And on this side, it is straight. It doesn't really go off the edge. This is the side where you can change your blades. If you look on here closely, you'll see that there's a little cutout, all right, in the track there that is not on this side. It's solid here. This side that pokes out on the side has a little cutout. Actually, I think I'm going to take it out again. I didn't mean to do this, but I just realized that I've been showing this tip to people quite a bit, and it was easier to take it off the first time. All right, so this is the piece that we're looking for. You see there's this little plastic edge ends right here. if you look underneath, you're going to see there's 3 little bumps, bump, bump, bump. This side only has 1 little bump. So the 3 little bumps, and then the piece that pokes off the edge. I don't think they suggest removing this regularly, but when you want to change your blade, you're going to go this way to this edge and go over those 3 little bumps. Ready? And then you can pop your blade out. If you're just cutting along, sometimes you can cut along and go bump, bump, bump without even noticing, and your blade will come off. This is where you put it back on. It's got a little kind of a hook piece. You just slide that in here. See that there's a little piece that comes out. Slide that in there, and then put the little feet back in the track. And then you're going to hear those 3 again. That was my 3. It's going 3 going really fast. Bump, bump, bump. Going in this direction, it's harder, okay? So that's going to keep it on. And then when you're not using it, use this 1 little bump on this side and snap that over, and that's going to keep your blades from rolling all around, okay? 12-inch trimmer, 12-inch decorative trimmer. Sorry, whoops. Okay, now you've got this little piece that's left, and what we want to do is to cut a piece that's about the same, that's going to line up with this piece. And it's, I don't know exactly what the measurement is. I think if you put the fattest part of the swell, just kind of just over the 1/2-inch line, like not touching it, but just kind of over it a smidge. You want the skinniest piece that you're cutting to be about this same thickness. So you could even kind of do this and then use your sight lines. It makes it a little bit less than 1 3/4. But it doesn't, you know, scrapbooking, not rocket science. So it's going to look a little bit different because this one has the swells in the middle and this one has the swells, you know, 2 of them, and this one kind of has 3. And then this is also going to be extra, this little piece. Okay, and then we're done. That's all the cutting we have to do, and all the rest is assembly. But it is going to be some welding, and I'm not real sure how you guys feel about welding. I haven't gotten any feedback about it, but I just love the way that it allows me to make the most of my papers, especially when I'm down to just a few pieces left in one of my collections. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a double weld this time, and we're going to weld from the front. So just butt up your 2 pieces, and you really need to use a permanent adhesive for this. The tape runner with the dots just doesn't work as well. This tape acts almost like Scotch tape or washi tape would do. Please don't use Scotch tape to tape this together. And you just want to put about a you know, 1/4 inch of adhesive right along the seam every few inches. Oh, I was too much on the other side. Okay, so let's see if you can see this. Let's see. So there's my adhesive just right along the edge, okay? And so that has taped these together pretty well. And then we're going to do the next piece. Just butt these up against each other. If you want to put one in the middle to keep it from scooting while you're welding, you can. Try to get this edge as straight as you can. All right, and then we're going to take one of our little swell cut wavy pieces. We're going to cover up this middle piece completely. So this is the one I said you could have used scratch paper if you want extra piece. I'm going to use my 0 centering ruler up here against the edge of my paper that I've now welded together so I can line this up. And I want the bottom edge, this is the bottom, I want the bottom edge to be about 4 inches from the bottom. And it is going to show more on the bottom and less on the top. That's exactly how I want it. So I've got it lined up against that. That's just made everything nice and straight. And so this is what I'm left with. So you don't see that piece that was in the middle. Actually, that's really pretty. You could probably do something on the back. If you use a pocket page, you can even use the back of this. But, you know, just put that on there. Actually, this probably would be a good time for me to say, if you don't like these 2 patterns, maybe you would want to do these 2 patterns instead. That would actually be very pretty to do these 2 patterns instead of the 2 that I chose. But I still chose these 2, so I'm going to do them again the exact same way with my welding strip. And you can, if you're worried about having it line up perfectly straight, you can actually use this ruler to butt it up against each other. Just the lip of this acrylic ruler. I love this ruler. It's a thick, it's like a 1/8 of an inch thick. You can't even focus on it, but it will, you know, it will, your papers will stop up against it, butt up against it, and makes it really easy to line things up straight. My tape is a little off center on this one. I think that's what's getting me into trouble. And you see why I don't know that the repositionable would work as well for this welding, just because we want, it's basically, it's taping them together, where the repositionable is just all those little dots. So it'll work once you put your piece on here, but right now where these are just two taped together, that wouldn't work as well. But I know there are people that are using pretty much only repo, and you know, that's you, and that's what you want to do. I won't stop you, but I love the real tape runner. I like knowing that the adhesive I use is going to stay. I don't want it to be repositionable. All right, and then I'm gonna do the same thing. Make sure that you have this, it's in the same direction, okay? You know, if you turned it around while you were adhering pieces, make sure that you have the bottom over here on the left, so that that's gonna get your sizing the right way. And I don't think it matters which way you do this. Maybe I'll turn mine upside down just for a little bit more variety. No, I don't think I will. All right, I'm gonna do it this way. Again, I'm gonna do it 4 inches from the top, which on my 0 center ruler, this one is a 2. Just gonna bump that right up against the 2 and straighten it up on that edge, and then like this. Now, if you wanted to, you've got a little bit of where it's not stuck down, especially here on the edges. You might want to put a little extra adhesive on this outside edge where the welding is not. That was grammatically correct, but we'll put our 2 little pieces on the edge here just to keep it from flopping around. That's optional. If you are somebody that tries to be as frugal as possible with your tape, then you probably wouldn't need to do that. So this is kind of our base layout right here, and it just kind of goes along. It, you know, I didn't try to position it so it matched up or anything, because it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to take these red pieces that I cut from the back of the Thanksgiving or the words paper, and I'm going to put them just at the top and the bottom. And at one point I thought about cutting an extra one to put around the sides, and I decided that I didn't want to do that because I wanted to have more of the piece right here. But, you know, maybe I could have done it that way. I don't know. I could have cut one more and then cut this a little bit longer. So, yeah, sorry. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up along the bottom. Of both of them. And you really don't need a lot of adhesive for this. Every couple inches is plenty. Our adhesive holds so well, and you're going to put this in, you know, behind a page protector. It's not going to get caught on anything. You don't need to use a lot of tape. That's one of the things I love about the CM adhesive. And I know it is not the least expensive adhesive out there. I know there are a lot of people out there that are still using other brands of adhesive, but every time I have a big event, I'll meet somebody who's decided that they'd rather stick with the adhesive that they know is going to stay stuck every time. So if you are having problems with your adhesive not holding on to your pictures, you know, if you're seeing things come loose or adhesive that's drying up, I'd love for you to give the CM adhesive a try. All right, and then we'll do the last piece after that little commercial for CM adhesive. Sorry. I'm a true believer in the CM adhesive, in the permanent regular adhesive and the repositionable. Repositionable is great for lots of things, but I like permanent adhesive that's going to stay stuck. It doesn't ever cause my paper to buckle. Just everything just is pretty the way I want it. Okay, so that's pretty much all we're going to do with the papers. You do have these 2 pieces here that are left over. You could make a border or something with them if you like, what you got left over for another layout. Before we put the photos on, we're going to do a little bit of decorating. We're going to do some of the decorating after, but you know, Debbie and Donna and I divide up all the stickers too. And so for me, I picked the leaves, because that kind of went along with the leaves. And it's got a little bit of blue in it, so I like that there's a little bit of blue in here. So these are exactly the same, and I want to make them so that they are complementary to each other. So this one I'm going to put this way with the little leaves pointing to the corner. So the next one I'm going to flip around, and I'm going to just put them in about a 1/2 inch from the edge. I've got my little grid here on my work surface, and I'm just going to, I guess I would say I'm just going to eyeball it, but I guess I'm not. I guess I'm going to use that. And again, the little leaves are going to be pointing to the outside, just at the 1/2 inch. So I'm kind of centering it over the 1/2 inch. And it does touch right exactly actually it looks like it goes off a little bit. It goes off a smidge, which could mean that when I welded my papers together, I didn't quite get them to be 12 inches. All right, so it does kind of go off just a hair off the top, but I can easily trim that. So see this one, it's pointing to the corner. So when I put this one down, I don't want to put it the same way. I want to flip it so that it's, again, pointing to the corner. And that's another one of those kind of Nicole things that probably nobody else would ever even think about or care about. But one of those things that I always think about, like really nitpicky things on my own layouts. All right, so then we're just going to do the same thing here. Just about, looks like it's about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Okay, the rest of the embellishment we're going to wait and do after we get our photo mats down. But what I did here is I left a section right here where I just put my photos directly on the page. They are not matted, so I'd have a little bit of that leaf pattern kind of showing through. These are pictures of my daughter and me. Last year we went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party down at Disney World, and we had these cute little matching shirts. They have a little witch Minnie Mouse, and they have capes. You'll see the capes in another layout, I'm sure. Oh, there you can kind of see the capes. They were very, very fun. And best of all, I bought them at the Disney outlet like 10 years ago for $3 each. So, and my daughter finally fit in hers, and I finally fit in mine. So it was a great thing. So I'm going to leave a space right here. I actually have a picture just for size that I'm going to use to kind of as my sizing guide, just so I know where to put my mats. And I'm going to put a vertical 4x6 here and a horizontal 4x6 here. And remember, I only had 2 4-inch strips. So one of them is going to go here, and I'm leaving this to have 3 squares. So I'm going to put these 2 right about here. Now, if you are someone that likes to do ink or something around your mats, this would actually, I think, I don't usually do a lot of inking, but I was kind of tempted to do some inking around this. Or you could even take one of our dot tip pens and ink around the edges. But I'm not going to take time to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my mats down. And if you don't have your pictures ready and you don't want to put your mats down, or you want to use repositionable till you know what you're going to do, that is of course okay. But I've just found when I pre-make these layouts, I can make it work, and you'll see when I show you my sample again that it did work with the pictures I had, even though I didn't necessarily have the same configuration. If you didn't have 3 horizontal photos, you could do 2 vertical photos and just scooch these guys over even and have a very similar look. If you wanted to have, you know, something like this, I would probably still leave a little gap right here, but, you know, you could adjust where you're going to put your mats. But for this one, I'm going to assume that we've got some horizontal photos to go in here, because that will take up more space on the page. So I don't, you know, in Alabama, we do have fall a little bit, but we don't really do the, you know, my kids are grown up. I don't really get to do the pumpkin patch thing or hay rides or corn mazes, which makes me sad because fall really is my favorite season. And so this is going to be down here. I want that about 1 inch from the bottom. And I'm using this as a positioner, so I leave some space for these 4x6 photos. Yeah, I love fall. Fall's my favorite season, and I don't have that many things to take pictures of in the fall, which kind of makes me a little bit sad. Might need to like go find a sunflower field or something. Maybe I'll find a find something to take fall pictures. I think I'm not sure this is straight, so I'm gonna just use my ruler again to make sure that these little guys are straight. Yeah, they're not even close to straight. All right, so I'm gonna just put this right there. Again, this zero centering ruler, I don't actually use the zero centering aspect of it very much, but I use the little lip edge all the time to help me position things. Okay, so now my pictures are straight so that when I come back, I can put my 4x6 photos in here. And what I did with this one actually is I trimmed about 1/4 inch off each of these. So they're really like 3.75 by 6 so that I could have a little gap. If you don't care about that, you could just bump your pictures up together, but I liked it with the gap. And then you'll see right here, I had a vertical photo and I put it over the top of these two. And I think you wouldn't even notice that that was one photo going over 2 mats, and that's going to give me a place to journal a little bit right there. And then we're going to just do a couple of things with the embellishments. Of course, some of this will depend on your own photos, but I love this quote from here about fall is proof that change is beautiful. I also am going to use the little wreath. I wish they would have cut the center out of the wreath, but they didn't. So I'm just going to put the wreath right here, kind of overlapping these leaves near the top corner, a little bit down. And then I'm going to use this fall is proof that change is beautiful, but I want to use some foam squares. Where did I put my foam squares that I just had when I was playing with this earlier? They're there. All right, and this is a pretty big piece, so I'm going to use maybe more foam squares. The new foam squares have actually a bigger foam square than this one has, but I like to use enough so that when my book is full, and I feel my album's pretty full, I like to use enough so that when I put this down, even if it gets squished a little bit, it doesn't like stick down in the middle because I want it to be raised up. And truth be told, sometimes I would actually use even more foam squares than this, but I'm not the most frugal foam squarer. In fact, I might have to put one more in the middle right there, just because it's a little bit wide. I just don't want it to stick down. And then I'm going to position this so that it covers up as much of this white as I can, and that it's still kind of lined up. I can use the words on here to make sure that it's just lined up. Oh, you know what, you guys? I forgot a piece on our layout. Drat. These two pieces were supposed to go on. Okay. Let's go back in time, and we're going to stick these down. And I'm going to use the reverse side, which is the wood grain. And I don't know how I lost that, my pile over there. I was so excited to get going. I was so excited that my layout was relatively quick this time. Peel up the border sticker. All right, we're going to pretend that this didn't happen, okay, that I was just on top of things. But so you could, if you wanted to, tuck your photo mat behind this, or you could go over the top. I'm going to go over the top, which means I'm going to have to peel this up again. Even though I used regular adhesive, you do have a little bit of a grace period before it gets permanently adhered. It won't rip your paper too much. Okay, so there's my first little accent strip, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And if I had more time, I don't even know if I would know how to go back and edit this video to put this part in. So we're just going to pretend that I did it on purpose, and hopefully anybody that's watching this watches through it once before you try to do it. Okay, so there's my strip. I'm just aligning it with the edge that's already here. And again, I'm going to peel this up very, very carefully so that I don't tear anything. Oh, I got to peel up a little bit more because this is the other side. Alrighty, there we go. And now that's stuck down. Okay, so now our layout is where we need it with this little wood grain edge, because what we're going to do is we're going to take these two little, well, we're going to take the pumpkins and put this kind of right here. I'm going to set it on this little hill that I almost didn't have. Just kind of set it right on there, a little bit to the side, because we're going to put the little squirrels down here. I like these little squirrels. I just think they're very cute. They both got little nuts, little acorns. And I'm going to also put these guys on a foam square, a couple of foam squares. The big one can probably take 3 foam squares. There was a fly in my house, you guys. It's September. What is a fly doing in here? Already killed one today. I don't know what's going on. All right, so there's that one. This guy, I think I'm just going to cut this in half. Whenever I cut a foam square in half, I like to just leave it on the paper. It just makes it easier to cut. So I think I'll do one right there, and I think the other one will fit right in this spot. Okay, I think that one's all right. And before I peel that off, I'm just going to position how I want them. Kind of right here and right here. And originally I thought I was going to use like one of these little hearts kind of in between them. But with the pumpkin there, I felt like that was too much. So we're going to put the heart off to the side a little bit. But we'll put them, and they're kind of sitting on the red. You don't want them floating in space. So I'm going to put this guy down here. Maybe it's a mom and a kid. Mommy squirrel and a little kid squirrel, and she's teaching him how to gather acorns for winter. And so they're just going to kind of be right here, kind of covering up that pumpkin. And then I'm going to take one of the hearts, and like I say, you could put it kind of right here in between the two of them. If you wanted to put the heart like in between, maybe on a foam square, but I'm just going to put it up over here. Okay, so that's kind of our little sticker cluster for this side. And then on this side, I'm just going to take the 2 other wooden hearts. These are kind of the ones I picked with as we were divvying up the paper pack. The 2 little hearts down here. And then I'm going to take this one that says favorite season. And because I do have a few foam squares left, I am going to put this on some foam squares. And again, I'm going to cut them in half just because I think this is a little bit too narrow for, if I had the small ones, and I know that I do, but I don't know where they are. So, or the foam tape. I do love the foam tape because I can cut it to whatever thickness and length that I need. But I'm going to do this right here with the little thing that says Fave Season, and put this just under the edge of my photo here because it's kind of overlapping the border. I think I want it to I want some of it to show the border. Fave Season. And then I'm going to take one little apple and just put that down here on the side next to my little piece. So that is the end of the layout. And then you can add your pictures. Because we did use 4x4 and 4x6 mats, I did have to trim my photos just a little bit. So this one is, this is 3.5, but I was able to leave it at 6 inches. These are 3 3/4 by 6 inches. And then these are 3.5 by 5.5. So they fit. This is 3.5-inch square. And this one I didn't want to trim anything off it. This is one of those magic shots, you know, where they tell you to look up and look surprised and you don't know what they're going to put in, and then just digitally put these little butterflies in. I didn't want to trim off too much of us, and I didn't want to trim off the butterflies, so I just went off the edge at the bottom. You didn't even notice, did you? Worked fine. So I'm not too worried about putting mats on my layouts ahead of time because I think it can still be very, very cute. And then I'll just journal right here. I did want to show you that did this exact same technique. If you don't have autumn or you don't like the autumn paper, I pulled out some of the Heart to Help. This was our, I think this might even still be available. This is the Ukraine paper pack that Creative Memories came out with a couple years ago as a fundraiser for Ukraine relief. And I think it looks just as pretty with, you know, this Ukraine paper. And you would still be able to put your, actually it matches these particular photos better, not on their side maybe, but I think it looks very pretty with different, you know, I don't have any stickers or anything to embellish on the sides, but you could use this technique with the wavy center and welding together. If you only have, you know, if you only have 3 or 4 pieces left of a paper pack and you want to use them all together, sometimes it's hard to do a double page spread, but this is a way that you can do, you know, you can use 3 papers and still get a double page spread that is, you know, symmetrical and looks the same. So there you go. This is our Autumn Harvest Savvy Scrapbookers collection layout for September. I am working on a series, which I hope to be able to launch very soon. I've just been crazy busy and I have not had any time to kind of get it together, but I haven't forgotten you. Thanks for sticking with me, even though after my Christmas in July, I think I just used up all my YouTube steam, but I have a plan and I'm gonna make it work and have some more layouts for you coming soon. But until then, I will be back with some new product previews. I hope to have one like tomorrow or the next day, depending on how soon I can get my 2-day order from Monday. And then we will be back again on the 1st or the 2nd Wednesday of October with whatever we're going to do for our October Savvy Scrapbookers. Based on history, it might be Christmas because, you know, October means Christmas in the crafting world because it takes us a little while to get going. So here you go, Autumn Harvest layout from the Savvy Scrapbookers, October 2023. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to see what you do with this, how your layouts turn out, what pictures you choose. Feel free to share that with me on my Facebook page at Nicole's Scrapbooks, or you can contact me through my website at nicolescrapbooks.com. Thanks a million. Don't forget to hop over to Donna and Debbie and see what they've done with their pieces of the Autumn Harvest collection from Creative Memories. Thanks a lot and happy scrapbooking.